Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from Central Europe, very close to the Danube River in Budapest, the capital city of Hungary. I hope everybody has had a great week so far. We are focusing on IELTS, the International English Language Testing System, Task 2 Writing. It is the last part of your sit-down exam. Hi Ava, hi Hung, hi Roshni. Good to see members joining in. Material strategies, they come from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for the general version of the test. Again, students, we just released our latest app for the academic. Search your iTunes or Play Store or App Store for Apple. Search for Academic IELTS Help. There is a free version of the app. It has lots of goodies. If you like it, you can join the full version. And our app is a full integration with our website, so you can access all of our materials from your app or from the website. It works beautifully. Hola, Alexander. Good to see you in class. Hi, Preeti, as well. So definitely get our app and also check out our website. This is our academic IELTS website. You can join there as well. You only need to join in one place, okay? So after you join on the app or on the website, you will have access to all of our materials on both. So it's one integrated account, all right? It's probably the most advanced online IELTS learning system in the world today, so for online. So check it out. Preeti, you got it. Great. And you love it. Fantastic. And we're making lots of improvements, students. So if you do see something that's not working, let us know. We're working very hard to fix it and make sure everything is working perfectly for you. Okay? Chantal, send me an email and let me know what's going on, and then I'll help you out. It looks like Roshni and Preeti had no problem. So Chantal, let me know what country you're downloading from what device, and I'll help you out, okay? We'll get our developers on that right away. All right, students, email Adrian, Adrian, at aehelp.com. You can contact me there. You can get our books from Amazon. Today, we are finishing our task 2 question that we started yesterday, members. So we'll do a very quick overview of yesterday's class just to catch up some of our members that maybe weren't present. And then we'll cut right into the body paragraphs and the conclusion. So we'll look at the body paragraph and the conclusion. Okay? So here's our question again. Read it again. IELTS Task 2 Writing. Some people prefer to drive their cars to vacation destinations, while others like to fly. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. Familiar from yesterday. Use examples and explanations from your own experience. Members, viewers, when you're practicing for Task 2, definitely practice writing the whole essay in one time frame, so in a 40-minute time frame. But you don't always have to do that. So like now, where we wrote the introduction or the thesis yesterday with the planning, today we're doing the rest of it. If you have a good strategy for essay writing, you can actually break up your essay into different study sessions, and it should still work. Okay, keep that in mind. So even if you only have like 15 minutes during a coffee break or a lunch break to do a little bit of writing, look at the question, plan it out, write down the thesis, and then when you get home or the next day when you have some more time, write the essay. Okay, so don't always wait for that 40-minute session to do the whole task 2. Welcome, C. Oguz, new member. Good to see you. Send me an email. You got some perks coming for you. OGUs. So discounts, practice exams, other goodies, and you can request classes. So send me an email. Cool. Welcome aboard. All right. So we discussed the topic, the controlling idea. We created a chi-square, planned out the advantages and disadvantages of traveling by car or plane to vacation spots. Okay. And then we came up with a thesis, which is here. So I believe using personal vehicles for vacation travel provides privacy and flexibility. However, they can be sluggish and dangerous while planes are fast and safe, but provide little comfort and control for passengers. I showed you an interesting strategy for developing your thesis yesterday. Can anybody tell me what that was? Hi, Shanghun. Good to see you in class as well. So what was that strategy for the thesis that I showed you yesterday? That was very important, and I want you to focus on that when you're at home getting ready for the exam. Anybody recall what I showed you, what you should do when you develop your thesis as you practice? It wasn't just so the chi-square, Shang, that was Shanghung. The chi-square was planning the advantages and disadvantages. But for the actual thesis, I showed you another important technique to implement when you're practicing at home. And you can actually use that technique in the real IELTS as well. It wasn't quite visualizing, Kesey. It was, well, hopefully somebody gets it. Yeah, okay, Kesey, so that was one really important point. It was to be concise. And Shanghung, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Very good, Shanghung. So reread your thesis a couple of times and improve it. Yeah, that's how you develop your thinking for a good thesis. Absolutely. And those are the details that you think about, Chantal. So think about your voice. Think about your concise points. That's right, Preeti. Think about your parallel grammar. It's very important. When you're in college or university, students, if you don't have parallel grammar in your thesis, your professor will take percentages and marks for sure. Okay, so very good. Excellent. Good, good. All right, so here is the thesis. I didn't post it for you, but I did write it, as you will see now. So here's my introductory paragraph. Okay, so I finished the introductory paragraph, and I saw that a couple of you finished the introduction for this essay. So as you know, the introduction starts with a hook. The hook should usually include what you're talking about, especially the subject objects, right? So you can see that here, cars and planes, right away I'm using these two items because they're critical components of my topic, okay? So cars and planes are common modes of transportation to vacation destinations for millions of people globally. So all this is, all my hook is a simple sentence that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 words, okay? 16 words is not a long sentence, especially in academic writing. Long sentences start at around 20 words. So you want to keep your hook under 20 words, somewhere around 15 words, okay? Make sure that it's very clear. And all I'm doing here is I'm stating a global fact. So this is simply just a global fact. Okay? And it sticks. So cars and planes are common modes of transportation to vacation destinations for millions of people globally. Okay, so now the reader is thinking, all right, what do you have to say about that? So I continue with the background. Again, the background includes two components. What are the two components for the background? Just some quick review. So what two elements should the background contain in an essay especially expository and persuasive essays. Narratives, descriptive essays are a little different, but persuasive and expository essays should contain these two components for the background. Ferdov says it should have a definition in there, what you're talking about. Yeah. So some definition of your ideas. Chantal, the opinion is your thesis. Okay. Thesis is your opinion. Another way to think about the word thesis, Chantal, dare I say, is it's your opinion or an opinion. Yeah, that's right, Kesey. So that's the other part of the background, is its importance. So why is it important? Why should we talk about this? Why should we discuss it? Why write about it? Okay. So the opinion, students, is the thesis. The background is definition and importance, right? So a reader, it makes sense. A reader at the very beginning of an essay is thinking, what is this person talking about? So what is this author actually talking about? And they're also thinking, why is it important? Why should I read this? Okay, you need to answer those two questions for your reader. All right. So clearly, automobiles use the road systems on the ground while planes fly high in the sky. So this is my definition. Okay. So I'm not defining what a car is or what a plane is. So I don't write that a car has 4 wheels and space for passengers. That's kind of weird, and it's very clearly understood. But I am defining the concept of cars. So it's a vehicle that moves on the ground, while the other one is a vehicle that moves in the sky. Yes, the reader knows this, but we want to highlight that. We want to emphasize that. Okay? Again, Kesey, your concept is right that visualization is always important, because me, as the writer, I'm visualizing to come to this definition. Clearly, automobiles use the road systems on the ground while planes fly high in the sky. And then I have some importance here. So certain people prefer one way over the other, and there are distinct reasons for such affinity. Affinity means having a preference. Okay, this is a good word to know if you don't know it. Affinity. Okay, learn vocabulary. So that's why it's important to talk about it, because there are different preferences in the public for these modes of transportation. Now I have my thesis here, and that's my opinion. Okay, so that's where the opinion is, Chantal. So that's where the idea of opinion comes in. It's not a good idea to start with an opinion. Why? Why do you think that it's not a good idea to begin an essay directly with an opinion or with a thesis? So why is that not the standard way of writing a persuasive essay? Even though the goal of a persuasive essay is to convince your reader of your ideas, why is it not good to start right away with an opinion? Like, I believe using planes are a better mode of transportation than cars because. So why is that not good? Why wouldn't I want to start the essay with an opinion? What's the logic behind that? And you will generally never see that in university or in writing where somebody directly starts with a thesis. So Roshni says because the reader will not really get the topic or what you're talking about. Shang Hung Sai says maybe doesn't catch the reader's attention. Auguste says we need to gradually introduce opinions. And you're right, C. Auguste. That's kind of the main reason. So you're all right in some sense. So definitely it might just be very confusing for the reader if you begin with an opinion. And of course, the other reason is people don't like opinions. We don't like suggestions. Humans are we're funny that way. We don't like to hear advice. especially not right away. We're adversive. We push back when we hear advice. So if you give an opinion at the very beginning, in the real world, many people are like, "Ugh, I don't need to know this, crumple, crumple, into the garbage." Okay, so you need to ease them into it. That's right. See, Oguz, you're absolutely right. You need to ease people into a suggestion or an opinion. Okay, it's not a good way to start a conversation, nor is it a good way to start an essay. Okay, so getting back to point, this is my thesis. Okay. What is my first paragraph about? And while you tell me about that, I'll read some of your points here. So Shang Hung says it has only been over 100 years since the first car and plane were invented for necessary transport in our lives. Shang Hung, that's not a bad definition that you're giving there, but it's too general for this question. The question is asking about the advantages, disadvantages for using planes or cars to go to vacation spots. You don't want to just generally talk about the invention of the plane and the car. Okay? So your second one, Shang Hung, is much better. Than nowadays, some people choose to drive vehicles to holiday locations, while others prefer to take a plane. So you're paraphrasing the question, but that's a better point for the background. Amarjeet, there are two eminent ways to make journeys by cars and planes for reaching holiday destinations. Good, Amarjeet. Eminent is not the best use of that word there. Eminent means unavoidable, and it's kind of awkward in that context, Amarjeet. I'll be honest with you. Doesn't read well. So, but good try using new vocabulary, Amarjeet, with the eminent. Okay. Preeti says traveling by both car and airplane are a popular choice to reach holiday destinations. That's a good hook, Preeti. It's a good hook. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Amarjeet, that's a good answer there for my previous question. Okay. Amarjeet says we should talk about cars, their advantages and disadvantages first. Yeah, absolutely. Preeti says that too. Yeah. So cars, advantages, disadvantages. That's exactly what I have here, right? So I have personal vehicle. So that's your car. And then I give the advantages, provides privacy and flexibility. That's the advantages, right? And then they can be sluggish and dangerous. So those are the disadvantages. So that is altogether my body one. Okay, you're absolutely right. So my body two will then be airplanes, advantages, disadvantages. A good thesis shows the structure. That was the other important point. A good thesis shows the structure of the essay to the reader. Okay, and this is important to know for the writing section. It's also good to know for another section of the IELTS. What is the other section where this thesis essay structure is a good idea to keep in mind? Yeah, CO Goose, it is definitely a good idea to directly state your thesis points and mention them before you describe them and explain them in more detail. Yes, and CO Goose, I don't know if you were in yesterday's class, but yes, one word for each. So try to be concise as possible. Concise means saying it shortly. Yeah, that's what good essays do. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, CO Goose, it's really important to write a direct thesis for good band scores, not an indirect thesis. Indirect thesis is like, this essay will discuss the advantages and disadvantages. We don't need to know that. It's in the question. The examiners know it's in the question. So you want direct thesis. If that's not clear, Goose, just send me an email. All right, so just again, that question, anybody catch it? So what other part of the IELTS is it really good to remember that the thesis shows the structure of the information in the essay? Okay, it's an important reminder. Sometimes students remember it in task 2, but They forget it in another set. That's right, Alexander. Very good. Thank you. Yes, in the reading. So of course the IELTS test makers, they're very good writers, very good authors. They know how to compose essays very well. Your passage 1, 2, and 3 are going to be expository and or persuasive essays, basically on different topics. And if you pay attention to the thesis sentence or sentences in the introduction, it can give you a lot of clarity about the structure of the essay. Okay, so absolutely, Preeti, the reading. Remember that. Okay, so body 1 starts with a topic sentence. The topic sentence, of course, is a deeper explanation or a deeper definition of our first points. So write the topic sentence, members. I'll do the same. I'll stay quiet a little bit to give you some thinking space. Okay. And again, the topic sentence is nothing more than a deeper definition of your first points. So here, the first points are using cars, the advantages for privacy and flexibility. Okay. Okay, so that is my topic sentence. Shang Hung's topic sentence is driving cars are more flexible for the trip because of the way they feel under control and less restrictions. Okay, Shang Hung, not bad. You have some redundancy there. So you want to avoid repeating the same concept over and over again. Instead, give more detail. So driving cars are more flexible than planes for vacations or for trips because the driver is under control and can stop at various locations en route. Okay, so Shanghung, something like that, all right? Less restrictions and under control, you're just repeating the same. Okay, it's like saying stay and don't go. You don't need to do that, just one or the other. So stay or don't go, don't use both. Okay, wordiness, students, will actually take away marks from your essay. So if you're looking for those high bands, like band 8, band 9, in your IELTS exam, you don't just need to write at least 250 words, but you need to make sure that you don't have redundancy or wordiness. There's a type of writing mistake called wordiness. And for the high bands like band 8 and 9 or going over 7.5, wordiness is absolutely considered by the examiners. Okay, so let me put it at the top here. Okay, so for high bands in IELTS writing, you must avoid repetition, unnecessary repetition of ideas using extra or let's say wordy sentences and synonyms. All right, so careful about that. Okay, I'll read my topic sentence. I'm guessing some of you are just about ready with yours. So here's mine. Cars give the benefit of having intimate private space with friends and family, as well as control over when and where to make stops along the journey. Now, you can see here that if when I reread my writing, I catch my own mistakes also. So having intimate private space arguably is wordy. Okay? So instead of private, I can just use the word intimate. Intimate here is in some ways synonymous with private, and I already used the word private here in a different word form, privacy, so it's better for me to just keep the word intimate space. Okay. All right, waiting for those topic sentences. Meanwhile, I'm going to move along here, members, with the explanation. Okay. So now I want to very clearly explain what I mean by that. Okay. In the explanation, consider quantitative language always. Okay. So what kind of quantitative language can I use here to explain this difference of cars and planes, where cars are private and planes are not? What would be a quantitative piece of information that jumps into your mind right away, especially if you're visualizing? Any ideas? Kesey, you're often very good with these quantitative concepts for Dobbs as well. So what quantitative, when I'm explaining the private space, the intimate private space of vehicles, what quantitative language might jump into mind visually right away? Okay. See a couple more topic sentences coming up. So Roshni says, having one's own private car gives more flexibility to plan spontaneous destination with family and friends, while it can be dangerous to travel 9 to 10 hours. I wouldn't go to the negatives yet, Roshni. I wouldn't go to the negatives yet. Okay. Kesey says, cars provide a flexible and private atmosphere for both passenger and drivers, using washrooms anytime and making stops casually when people are traveling by personal vehicles. Okay, Kesey, not bad. Not bad. Okay, the quantitative language that I'm thinking about visually is the number of seats. So a car usually seats about 5 people. A plane will seat anywhere from 100 to 200 people, right? So that's the big difference. So most cars only have 5 seats. As where planes have over 100. As such, people only take their loved ones in their own cars. And then comes the explanation, or sorry, the example. Just last week, I drove to Disneyland in France from Budapest with my wife and child, and we stopped at several tourist hotspots along the way. Okay. All right. That may be a little bit of an awkward explanation, but it works, okay? So for the IELTS, it works. Again, quantitative language. It's really, really good to include, all right? Preeti says, driving a car has the benefits of privacy. Therefore, people can enjoy it with family and friends. Also, it is controllable, so people can make stops according to choice. Okay, Preeti, good. Don't use contractions, Preeti. So, especially in the academic exam, don't use it's, use it is. Okay. Yeah, Shang Hung, if you're, so I'm using, our question says from your own experience. So that's why my example is using my own experience. If it doesn't ask that, if it just says discuss both, then it's better to write in third person voice and not use I, me, my. So here, Shang Hung, I show my voice in the thesis. So here I write I believe using personal vehicles for vacation. So right away, the reader knows that, okay, this is a first person essay. The author is talking from their own perspective. And I continue with the first person voice in my example. So just last week, I drove to Disneyland. Sheng Hung, if the question does not ask you to include your own opinion, then it's best to write in third person voice. So don't include I, just speak in general terms. Okay, so take out the I believe and just start with capital U. Using personal vehicles for vacation provides privacy and. Okay, pay attention to the question to decide your voice. It's going to be either first person or third person, never second person, students. Never second person. That second person is you and yours. Don't do that in the essay. All right. Okay. Now, I saw that one of our members tried to include the entire negative and positive into the topic sentence. You don't need to do that. So that's kind of, there's a hidden question there. So if your first point has the positive and the negative of the car, you don't have to have the positive and the negative in the topic sentence. You can just start with the positive and then later you can include the negative side. Okay, I'll show you how to do that in just a minute without writing too many words, because of course I respect that it's tricky for many people to write more than 300 words in the 40 minutes. Okay, so here I start with the positive. I give some quantitative explanation, and then I give an example. Now I can switch to the negative. And I can use my example, if it's a good example, I can use my example to switch in to the negative. So just last week, I drove to Disneyland in France from Budapest with my wife and child, and we stopped at several tourist hotspots along the way. Although we enjoyed each other's company, the journey took 3 days and it was tiring. Okay. Also, during the 30-hour road trip, we nearly got into an accident twice. Clearly, going by car is slower and more hazardous than by plane. Okay, so what I'm showing you here, viewers, members, is that you can use the example to transition into the negative of that side, so of using the car. Is that clear how I did that? So let me try to show it to you graphically. So what I did here in this body paragraph is it's like an hourglass. So I went from the general topic sentence. Maybe I'll switch to my black marker so you can see that better. So I'm going from the general kind of topic sentence here. Okay. Of the positive, okay, to a more specific explanation of numbers, okay, to an example. And then what I'm doing is I'm going back out from the example to the more general topic, which is the negative. And in fact, I'm also using that to create my connection to the next paragraph. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, tiring, Yvonne, means to make you feel tired. Okay. All right, so does that make sense? So I start with the top, with the positive, a deeper definition of my thesis point. Then I explain it. I try to include some numbers to make it clearly understandable. I give an explanation, and then I use my explanation to transition into the negative side of the argument and connect to the next paragraph. Okay, it's a very good technique for this kind of essay where it's asking you to discuss the advantages, disadvantages of both. Okay, so if you have to discuss the advantages, disadvantages of both, you have to do that in 2 paragraphs. This kind of structure will make it a clear flow. Okay, any questions about that? Oguz, Shenghung? It's clear? Okay, Kisi, clear, good. For Dobbs, if you're still with us, is that clear? So let's try that for the next point regarding planes. Okay, so go back, check your thesis. All right, Oguz, cool. Thanks for confirming. So let's go back. Let's check our thesis. Make sure that we have the right ideas and we're not being repetitive. So planes are fast and safe, but provide little comfort and control for passengers. Okay. All right. So here, I clearly know that I have to talk about being fast and safe. Now, I'm going to follow the same technique. So I'm going to introduce the positives, explain it, give an example. And I'm thinking ahead. So as a good writer, I'm developing my ideas ahead so that, especially in the IELTS, I can just focus on my English, on my word choice, on my sentences, my grammar, and I don't want to worry too much about my ideas. So a good visualization or conceptualization is to plan out your example for the next body paragraph. What would be a good example for body paragraph 2 in this case? And again, students, you can just make it up. Chantal, thank you for confirming. So you can just make it up. It doesn't have to be real. The goal is to have a useful example that makes your essay strong. So based on my body paragraph 1, what would be a good example to construe or to come up with for my body paragraph 2? Because it's going to be my linking point. Okay, so in my body paragraph 2 now, I'm going to have the same kind of concept like this. Okay, and it's going to pivot on the example. So I want to conceptualize my example, maybe even before I begin my topic sentence. So what would be a good example to conceptualize or to imagine, visualize for this essay. What should I say here? Based on, here's a good hint, on my first example in my first body paragraph. Okay, so Kesey says going by plane is faster, maybe just spend 4 hours by plane to destination. So Kesey, that's an explanation. This is going to be a personal example. It has to be an I or me or a my example. It has to be something real. What would be a good example? Ferdov says a long journey. Not necessarily Ferdov. So Budapest to France is, it's a fairly long journey. It's about, I don't know, maybe 2,500, 3,000 kilometers, something like that. Zainab, we don't need to start with the disadvantages of traveling by plane. We can start with the advantages. Here we don't have our own opinion like which one's better. We're just discussing the advantages, disadvantages of both. All I want here is my example, conceptualizing my example that I'm going to link into. Preeti, that sentence that you're writing, that's for the previous paragraph. Okay, so here, I'm thinking of something else. Maybe I'm not making it clear enough for you. So let me hop back here. So my pivot, okay, my center point in my first body paragraph was driving to Disneyland in France from Budapest with my wife and child. So that was my example. So what would be a good example to really put the point home for the reader in body paragraph 2? So Kesey says cross-country trip by plane, spend less time than by a car. Yeah, that's okay. But again, you need to be more specific, Kesey. The example, you have to stay with the first person voice here. So the I, me, my. Okay. Amarjit says, mention journey of planes. All right. Well, maybe some of you are thinking about this. You're just a little bit shy to put it up there. But what I would do for my pivot here, for my example, so I'm going to write my example first here. Okay. And I'll add in the topic and the explanation after. 6 months ago, I flew from Budapest to Paris for a business trip. And it took just over 3 hours without me having to worry about paying attention to traffic or pedestrians. Okay, so I'm just kind of spitting it out there, all right? So this would be my pivot, okay? So my explanation can come above it, my topic sentence can come above that, and then my inverse, okay, so the negative explanation idea can come below it. Welcome, Raj. Good to have another new member. Fantastic. Good on you, Raj, for joining. Raj, again, send me an email. Okay. Amarjit, pedestrians are people who are walking on the street. So people on their foot. Okay. Yes, Preeti, you got me. Absolutely. So I'm connecting with my first example. Remember, students, the strongest way to create a powerful essay is with information. A lot of students focus on linking words like however, firstly, next, after that, therefore. Those are good, but the strongest way to link your essay together to make it cohesive is with the information that you use. Okay? So I just made this up. I absolutely just imagined and created this example, but this example gives a very direct contrast with the first one of driving to Disneyland Paris, which is a tourist destination, of course, with my family. So, okay, now I just remembered that it's a vacation. Okay, that's again important. So here I might want to correct this and say it's not a business trip, but maybe I took my wife on a romantic getaway or on a cruise or something like that. So I can change it like that, but the key is to stick with the plane. Okay, so do you see how I'm using the example and directly contrasting to give a very clear picture for the reader about the differences of using a plane versus a car for traveling, advantages, disadvantages. Use this, okay? So use this in your IELTS exam. It will help your score go up, okay? Yeah, exactly, Shanghung. So you got it. So that's perfect. So Shanghung says, half year ago, I took a flight from Budapest to Paris on another trip with a friend to visit the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre Museum, and it only took 3 hours, and I didn't need to worry about it. Yeah, so there. So now I'm making sure that I'm not going off topic, right? Because the topic is for vacation spots or for holiday destinations, okay? So the Louvre Museum in Paris with a friend, all right? Not a business trip. Because then again, that's another argument. It's a different concept. Okay, good. So now I have my example. I just need to work in the explanation and the topic sentence preceding it, and then, of course, the negative side that's afterwards. So here I need the explanation. Then above that, I need my topic sentence. Then below it, I need the negative side of the argument. Okay. The topic and explanation, or I should say explanation and topic. Okay, they can kind of come together. And that will create my second body paragraph. Okay. And that's my body too. All right. Students, members, I'm not going to rush completing this with you right now. I see that I'm running short on time. So instead, now that you have a clear idea of this technique that I'm showing you, I'd like you to finish this essay, okay? So on your own, finish the essay, send it to me by email. Use this technique of introducing the positive side, explaining, giving an example, pivoting with the example. Pivot means to stop and turn, okay? That's your pivot. That's like in basketball. If any of you play basketball, pivoting means to stand on one foot or put weight on one foot and move with the ball. That's a pivot, okay? So here you're conceptually pivoting on the example, and then you're going to the other side. So don't copy my body paragraphs, so don't stay with the Paris example. Use your own. Make sure that your example is your pivot, and make sure that your second example is a very direct reflection of your first example, okay? So that's what I want you to practice with this essay, okay? And of course, do the best on the conclusion. I know we didn't cover that today. I will finish this essay and post it on our community board on the channel. So check for that in the next couple of days. Likely by tomorrow, I'll have it up there. So in the next 24 hours, I'll have the complete essay for you, and then you can look at the full introduction, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. In the meanwhile, do it on your own. Send it to my email. My email is, again, especially for new members, send me an email that you're a new member so I can hook you up with perks, some goodies. My email is Adrian, Adrian, at aehelp.com. So send your essays there. This is for everybody who's watching. Download our new app, Academic IELTS Help. Look for our logo in your Play Store or your Apple Store and download the app. It's free. You can use a lot of materials in the free version. Of course, there's a paid version. If you like it, you can upgrade. If you upgrade, you can also access the website. So you can learn from the same account on your computer at aehelp.com and on the application. Okay, they're linked. All right, any questions, members, about this homework or about any other points from this class? Amarjit, I'm super glad you have this app. Yes, several of our members said that they were able to get it. I think one member said, Chantal said that she wasn't able to install it, or so send me an email on that. If you're having any kind of trouble with the app or the website, always just contact me so I can help you out. Technology is not perfect, so let me know, all right? Shanghung, you're very, very welcome. Oguz, any questions? And I know we have another new member today as well. Any questions before we wrap up? We have another class coming up in 30 minutes. That will be task 1, writing about a table. So task 1, table, how to analyze and how to write about a table, an expository essay. That's for next class coming up in 30 minutes. Hopefully I'll see many of you there. Okay, Oguz, cool. Send me an email, Oguz, so I can hook you up with those perks. All right. Kisi, definitely. Practice the method. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Again, hope to see you in 30 minutes, in half an hour. I'll be back with task 1, table for academic writing. Bye for now.